You don't lose your edge under pressure, you lose access to it. The problem is, most leaders don't realize that the moment it happens, and by then, their decisions are already made. Welcome back to the Second Voice podcast, where we uncover the conversations that leaders don't have out loud. I'm Luisa Hogan, your host, and today we're exploring what really happens inside the mind of high performers under pressure, and why the voice that you trust most might not actually be you. My guest today is the lovely Hanna Curman. She's an international speaker, founder of BrainShift, the new transformation logic, a certified in brain-based coaching, and author on leadership and mental health. And she helps executives lead transformation from the nervous system up. And I know we're in for a treat of a conversation today, Hanna, because I have loved learning about you and reading about you. I'm super interested in your work because it overlaps a lot with the work that I do. So welcome to the Second Voice today. I'm so pleased to have you here.
And I'm so happy to be with you here, Luisa.
Lovely. So, well, first things first, tell us a little bit about you. Let our listeners know what's the work that you do, what's the journey that you've taken to get to where you are today?
Well, first of all, I live in Sweden, up in the northern part of our world. And I usually say that I've been fostered by the corporate world because I've been working within the Volvo group for more than 23, it was more or less 24 years. And when I say fostered, I mean, when you are in a workplace, that really shapes you. And it has shaped me a lot. And it has given me the opportunity to travel around the world. And I think that says quite a lot of me because I love being out in the world and meet people from different cultures. I love to go to the backyard places to grab the local stuff to eat and see what's going on and so on. So that is a little bit who I am. A year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, I did say goodbye to the corporate world. I wanted, it has been an inner drive for me for many, many years. I took the first step in 2009. Then I started a side business. And that is also when I released a book. It's in Swedish. It's called Why Do We Look Up to the Cock? And that is really the connection between leadership and mental health. And I will tell you a little bit more about the reason behind that book as well later on, I guess. But since then, I have had this kind of urge I want to do something outside the corporate world as well. So a year ago, I was safe enough to take my 24 years and say goodbye. And I remember the last day. I had just had a workshop with the top management in one of our main factories here in Sweden. And so I was really on the last day, I was doing whatever or the things that I loved. And now since then, I have been gathering everything together and being able to really do it my way. I mean, when you are in a corporate world, you always have their political perspectives and their views and targets and visions that you need to kind of be aware of and relate to. And sometimes, even though usually I do have the same view, but sometimes I feel that I would like to have done it in this way, and that is what I can do now, right?
It's freedom.
Yeah, it is freedom. It is freedom. And it gives so much. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to explore this and I want to put this together. So that is what I've done. And you said that I'm the founder of BrainShift, and that is the program that I have put together where I'm working with the human perspective of a change, a transformation, together with the structural part. And get them together. I usually talk about it like a zipper. And many organizations, they think that, okay, so let's take one side of the zipper and work with that. And then we take the other part of the zipper and then we work with that. But how the heck are you going to close the zipper then? So that is
Yeah.
really what this work is about, to get the zipper and the teeth to be able to get together and be strong together.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I really
um,
like that analogy of the zipper because I've never thought of it that way, but it's so true. It's like it makes so much sense, right? So
yeah, it is. It
wonderful.
is. Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, you've had a stellar career then, that's a long career in corporate and,
Hmm.
for a top company too, not,
Hmm.
a small company. Was there ever a time in that where you realized, th- I mean, you said that you've left over a period of time, but was there a defining moment for you where you felt like I'm not functioning well here, I need to go?
It has been several times during those
Yeah.
24 years.
Yeah.
But I can take you back 20 years from now. And I remember it as it was yesterday. And at that time, I was the process manager for for a global process, and I took local things to make it global. And I just loved what I was doing, and I really say loved, because I just as I said, I was traveling around the world. I had influence. I was free to do whatever I wanted, and all those things. And I had this thought, this thing that I wanted to do, and I wanted to get my manager's view on it, and his, yeah, his to be present with me. So I booked this meeting, and I was preparing for this meeting, and it was a Monday morning in December. And Monday morning in December in Sweden, it's dark, it's cold, it's gray. So I had really had to pump up myself to be on the edge for this
Yeah.
meeting. So I entered the room, and there were some other topics on the agenda, and then it was time for me. And just as I was going to start to explain my topic, he stood up and said that I don't have time more, or I don't have more time. It
Wow.
was like,
Heartbreaking.
it was really heartbreaking. It was like everything inside me has teared up, and I just grabbed my things and rushed out in my car. I was sitting there, and my hands were just shaking, and my tears were flooding down the cheeks. And I went home, and that was the starting point of a 6 months breakdown. But that is also when I started to explore what happened in that room, what happened with me, and what happened with the other ones in that room, because it was not just me and my manager, it was the full management team. So even though that was a situation that I wish no one else needed to go through, and I know many of us have been there in different situations, that did teach me a lot of things as well. And as I took it as a starting point to shift the way that I acted, reacted, and that has really supported me in other areas in my career as well.
I mean, I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry about the subsequent breakdown. But at the same time, it's led you to where you are today, and you're helping people, go through their own journeys in that. I mean, do you, in the work that you do, work with high performers? Do you work with people who are like working under pressure but still outwardly performing? Is that the work that you do?
Yeah, that is the work that I do. And I do it in one-to-one coaching, and I also do it with management teams. Um, and what I can see is that when you gather together and you really start to talk about those things, that is when it also starts to happen.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I work with one-on-one coaching, and also together with management teams to explore the what going back to this room, and as I said, what happened in that room, what happened with me, and what happened with the other ones, to actually understand the mechanism behind it, and to be more, yeah, to be more steady and to be more present in the moment.
Because you've talked to me. I mean, before we started recording, we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about presence in leadership and presence
Mm-hmm.
in, presence under pressure. When do you find with your clients that pressure overrides their system so that they're reacting instead of responding, and they're reacting to their fears and to their worries and to the pressure rather than slowing down, being present and responding? Like, tell me more about that work and what you see and how you help them through that.
Yeah, and sorry by laughing here, but isn't that a natural state for all high achievers?
100%, yeah. It's definitely in the work that I do too, right? And I'm always fascinated to hear how other people solve this problem. And
Mm.
I know the work that I do, but I'd love to know how you approach it.
Yeah,
I want to know more about the presence work that you're doing.
yeah. And I have something that I call the clarity chain,
Yeah.
where we are talking about spot, decode, direct. So first of all, I mean reactions. Let's go back to this with why I'm laughing a little bit when you're asking, do I see this? See it? Yes, of course I do, everywhere, because we are there, and the more pressure that we are getting, or having on us, the more squeezed we feel, right? And when we get squeezed, we are just reacting instead of acting. And I usually say this, that emotions precede logic every single time. We need to understand that, and we need to understand, even though most of us, I do believe, have heard it, that our brain is wired to keep us alive. And just by that, saying that, what does it mean to be kept, to stay alive? What's the easiest way to stay alive?
Just to
It
tell
is,
you everything is a threat.
yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is what we are going around and look for threats all the time. So just understanding that, first of all, to understand that, because I see too many people that are carrying a lot of guilt and shame, and carry around a lot of guilt and shame. I mean, it's a heavy burden.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And
first,
and
yeah,
fear, and like
and
the
fear,
guilt and shame, what's the root of that? Fear.
yeah, yeah,
Fear of not being perfect, fear of being seen as wrong or being seen as having done something wrong. All of it comes down to fear. And when we can tackle
exactly.
fear, that internal fear, and face the fear and remain calm and steady through it and present through it, then you start to see a shift, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but let's just stick to that a little bit. I mean, it's natural that we are scared, and that it comes down to fear, because what happens if we are not wanted anymore?
Yeah.
Just go back to that situation that I just spoke or gave you,
Yeah.
when I was entering the room and then I was rushing out. My full body was just screaming, I'm not wanted. I don't have skills enough. I'm not expected here. I'm not listened to. I'm not worthy. That is what my body reaction was.
Mhm.
And
And
if
it's
I
very
was,
convincing.
yes,
Yeah.
and if I'm not wanted, or and so on, and I'm not part of the pack, then
Mm.
I'm extremely easy bite for the ones that wants to kill me.
Mhm.
So our reactions are there.
Mhm.
So that is actually the starting point in everything I do. First of all, just
Wonderful.
to get this, to understand whatever you are doing right now and whatever you are feeling now, that is exactly what you are supposed to do. Based on where you are, and based on your experiences, and based on your ancestors' experience, because we do inherit. We know by fact now. I'm sure you have read those researches as well, but we know by fact now that that our genes remember. They remember what happened to our ancestors more or less 7 generations back. But is that really a truth today?
No. Yeah, it's fascinating research that actually,
It is.
how we remember that, and then it becomes part of your nervous system, and you a huge part of leadership, as I know you know, is about regulating your nervous system through that because. As you say, our nervous system is there to keep us safe and to keep us alive, but we don't have to listen to it. We can control it more easily than we think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I love that you've lived this experience and you've lived that and you became aware of how that shift in your nervous system and the self talk that you had that was telling you that you weren't wanted.
Hmm.
Tell me what happened after that. So, you said that it was 6 months and then you had, came to a big breakdown. Were there
Hmm.
more situations like that that fed that? What was going on internally for you to feed that so that you had that big breakdown after that?
Mm. Well, before that breakdown, after that breakdown, I came back and I was much more steady and aware of myself, my inner reactions and signals and so on. And we can come back to that as well.
Mhm.
But also one thing that um, was before this, and as I said, I was in the perfect fit for me, the perfect position for me. But at the same time, I was extremely lonely. I was based in Gothenburg in Sweden, but my responsibility spread all around the globe. I had an extreme freedom, meaning that no one really they didn't look for me when I was not in the office because they just took for granted that I was out traveling somewhere.
Mhm.
And in Sweden, I'm coming back to Sweden and some traditions that we have in Sweden. On Friday afternoon, we always have this fika. Fika, Swedish fika, that is when we are drinking coffee, we are having a home baked cake, and we gather together with the team that we work together with. And it's a lovely tradition. And my office was just by the coffee machine, meaning that every Friday afternoon I could hear everyone going to the coffee machine and then gathering in their teams and having this fika. But I was not part because I did not belong to any team. So what I saw myself doing was that because I was the one that was occupied, and I was the one that was really out there and was needed. So I always booked meetings on Friday afternoon because that made me feel that I had the control. Of course,
Yeah.
that was not true.
Mhm.
That was just escaping from the reality, my reality,
Mhm.
but it was not the truth.
I was avoiding it.
I was avoiding it.
Mhm.
But the truth was that when I came back from my 6 months and I had done all this work, inner work with myself, and I did actually go to my colleagues because it was dear colleagues of mine and friends, and I said, "Hey, I actually feel a little bit lonely." And well, but you are welcome to any of our fikas. Of course, you should belong here. We thought that you were, yeah.
Mhm. It's funny how the stories we tell ourselves, right?
Hmm.
And this is a big part of that inner voice. We tell ourselves stories, and
Mm.
then those stories become facts in our mind, but they're not the facts. They're just our thoughts. And I'll often say that to my clients, your thoughts aren't facts. And it takes them a long time to understand what that means because like, it has to be a fact. I'm thinking it, therefore it is a fact. But it's not. Your thoughts are not facts. Your thoughts
No,
are just thoughts.
yeah.
And, you convinced yourself that you didn't belong. But meanwhile, nobody else agreed with you. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And that is really the second part in my clarity chain, the one that when I'm talking about decode.
Hmm.
So first of all, spot your triggers and spot your signals. What is it that I'm feeling?
Yeah.
And then after that, decode. Okay, what does this come from? Is
Yeah.
it a reality? Of course, the feeling is a reality, but is it a
Correct. Yeah.
reality now, or does it belong to something else? Because after that, you come to the third part, direct. Okay.
Hmm.
So where do I want to direct this? Do I want to keep it? Because of course it can be a good feeling as well, and a good trigger and a good signal for us. But if it's not, then I should direct it and throw it out the window or burn it up or whatever. And just doing that physically, writing a note and burning that note, just take it away.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. It's does this serve me? No. Get rid of it. And I like
Mm-hmm.
that you use that symbolic burn it. I've
Yeah,
done that before. It's actually really, really useful, isn't it? You
it
just
is.
you release the energy that's attached to it too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
powerful. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that we can do it in so many different aspects in our lives. We can do it we can do it together as a management team as well. Do we
Yeah.
want to have it like this? No, we don't. Okay, so let's burn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's that. Let's start from a fresh page.
Yeah.
Yeah, erase it.
And is that what took you on to writing your book? So you mentioned earlier that you wrote a book. Is this part of the journey that got you to writing that book? Tell me more about your book and what led you there.
It was really those 6 months when I did this inner study with myself, and I did a lot of research, reading a lot of research. I also did some deep dive interviews with other people that were in the same situation and so on, and I could see some patterns. So those patterns, I wrote this book. It's a very small book, and it's very easy to read it. You can probably read it in just 5 hours or something like that. It was supposed to, or it is supposed to be like support to a speech, because I also created a speech, a 2-hour speech connected to this, where to support us to understand what is it that is true and not true,
Mhm.
and different chapters. So this is, I mean, it's 20 years ago. So the book was released 2009, and I do want to do an upgrade on that one, because some parts are still valid and some parts are overdue. So yeah, let's see when the next part or the next book is coming out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And uh, tell me a little bit about, because I know you've got a personal journey too. We've discussed it a little bit, and I've read in
Mhm.
your profile too. You talk about your journey about having a child at 47, was it?
Yeah,
Which is incredible, by the
it
way.
is.
Tell me
Yeah.
more about that journey. And you were doing this alongside. Was this at around the same time as all the work that you were going through? Because that would have added pressure to your life too. Tell me more about that.
No, this was actually 10 years later.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So that part was 2006, and then my next personal crash. And I would say that the thing that happened in 2006, that was more connected to me as a
Hmm.
person, and how I was pushing myself to be a high achiever, and didn't really understand the way of acting and reacting there. But what happened to me in 2011, 2012, that was really connected to my personal life. I got a divorce, which was a very heavy divorce that impacted my two daughters. They were then 14 and 17. It impacted them very heavily. And of course, also myself, extremely heavy. And one of my daughters, she didn't want to live anymore. She tried to take her life more than once. And I was then the only parent because their father left us at that point. And being the only mother, trying to hold together everything. And also my oldest daughter, she was in a high school abroad, or not abroad, but in another city. So taking care of her and taking care of this very unstable child. She couldn't go to school, and she didn't want to live, and all those things. And then at the same time, I met my spouse, who I now live together with, and eventually got this child at the age of 47. So that was what I would like to say. Just, it's a long story, and maybe we can do an episode just about
Hmm.
this. But what really made me go through that very deep personal crash was that I already had the tools
Yeah.
and awareness. I could, of course, I felt the signals. Of course, I was devastated about everything that happened, but I could also put myself on the side and look at it from the outside. And I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have been able to do that if I did not have those tools. And
Yeah.
that is one of the reasons that I really, really, really want to work with people connected to this, because I know that there are too many of us
Mm-hmm.
that will have situations in their lives, personally or professionally, when just understanding how our human biology are driving us or are impacting us,
Mm-hmm.
that makes a big difference.
Makes a huge difference. And you're so
Yeah.
right. And high performers, particularly, I find in the work that I do, they go to work and nobody knows the inner battles that they're having. And they are going through things like you've gone through, going through a lot of upheaval at home. And they come to work and they continue to perform. And I call it
Hmm.
performative strength.
Hmm.
They show everybody how strong they are outwardly, and
Yeah.
internally they're dying inside.
Yeah.
They are struggling,
Yeah.
and eventually that leads to burnout. And you hear all the stories about burnout. But there are some high performers who will perform at that level for years and years and years and years, and they think that that's what they need to do to continue. And then they just become more and more reactive, more and more reactive. And I know
True.
that you see that, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think the work that you're doing is so important, because
Yeah.
we need to show people that it's okay and normal to go through these upheavals, and there are ways that you can get through it. It's not going to
Correct.
make the problem go away, but it certainly can make it a lot more, a lot easier to go through in terms of making decisions from a clear and calm place rather
Yeah.
than being reactive all the time.
Yeah. We are talking a lot about psychological safety, and
Yeah,
I am happy to see that that is coming into the business world.
yeah.
What I do believe, though, and now I'm a little bit skeptic, is that let's take a metaphor and let's see it as a swimming pool.
Mhm,
And what I usually see when we are talking about psychological safety is that we learn to swim up on the surface, and we learn all those different techniques. But what about diving down?
yep,
Diving down deep. That is what I want everyone to learn a little bit more about, and even more what I do. And this is for the ones that really are willing to go with me out in the ocean, to be able to swim and take the metaphor out in the ocean, to be able to swim with the currents, with the wind, with the waves, with
and
the
the
sharks,
sharks.
maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
You never know what happens. And when you are there and you are swimming outdoors, and I do scuba dive, so I know what I'm talking about there as well.
yeah,
And what you really need to do when you are scuba diving and swimming out in the ocean, you need to be able to control yourself, and you need to be able
correct.
to be present. It's the
So
same
true.
thing. It's the same thing with leadership.
Yeah,
I mean, it's easy peasy to be a leader in an organization that is only, we are walking around and we are polite to each other and everything is smooth, but nothing will really happen. And in this era that we are in now, mm-mm. If you don't dare to go down, at least dive down in the swimming pool, in the
yeah,
indoor pool. That
yeah,
is the least you need to be able to do.
yeah.
Um, but the ones that actually dare to go out and learn to swim out in the ocean with the sharks, they are the ones that will be able to control the future organizations.
100%. I love that metaphor. I'm stealing that in Australia. So I'm spreading your metaphor in Australia.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Use
Do,
it.
do you know, I use a different metaphor, but it's similar, right? Where I talk about a lighthouse, and a lighthouse is standing in the storm, and there's a raging storm around it, and there's waves and crashing wind and rain. And the lighthouse doesn't stay standing because it resists the storm. It stays standing because it doesn't let the storm inside. And
Mm.
that's what staying calm in the storm is, right? You're not there fighting it and pretending like everything's okay. You're allowing the storm to stay out and stay calm on the inside and be the light for everybody else, right? So,
Mm.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
your ocean metaphor too.
Yeah.
It's got that same feeling, right? Of,
Yeah.
finding
Yeah.
the calm
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah. I nick
Um,
yours.
we'll trade. We'll
Yeah, we
trade.
do.
I
We
love it.
do. That's great. That's great. Perfect.
Um,
Right.
tell
Yeah.
me, for those people who are listening who might be high performers,
Mm-hmm.
if they're in a high stakes moment or in, going into difficult conversations, going into boardrooms where they have to have a difficult decision, what is the most practical way that they can interrupt that override that's telling them to be reactive and help them come back to clarity and calm that you're talking about?
There's one thing that overrides everything else, and that is your breathing. Before we started our recording today, I did my breathing in for 3, hold it a little bit, and then out for 6.
You
It
and I were
calms.
doing the same breathing exercise.
We are, we are. So we're doing so much things together, or at the same things. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But it's so powerful, and it's
Y-
for free.
Yes.
It is really powerful and for free, and no one even needs to see and notice what you are doing. And if they notice, thank God, they might just do the same. They feel
Yeah.
that, you are doing that exercise, then I do this. I actually have started to do it with my leadership teams and my one-to-one coaching. We always have a reset at the beginning, depending on what's happening before, but some kind of reset to make sure that we are in the room. So that is the breathing exercise. You can't think out yourself. You can't think out of your thoughts, but you can support your nervous system to calm down by muscle tension, by breathing exercises, and also I'm standing up. There is a reason for me always to stand up. And that not only that it keeps my energy level up, but it also supports my testosterone in my body. And testosterone gives us a feeling of power
Amazing.
and calmness and confidence. And I think that is one of the things, just going back to this with psychological safety and being grounded and all those things. If you own your value and feel confident about yourself and who you are, you can be that lighthouse.
Yeah. You can be swimming with the sharks and not be panicking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So
Mm.
tell me more. You're busy. You mentioned earlier you were doing before we started recording. You were talking about doing a webinar about being present in leadership. Tell me more about that, because I think that's really relevant in today's world where we've got more and more speed going on with AI. I think people are less present now than they've ever been before because of AI. People are unable to think without tapping everything into AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think presence is such an important topic today. So tell me more about your webinar and how can people connect with you, join in on that? Are they able to join, or what other ways can they connect with you to work with you?
Thank you for asking. The webinar is being present. No, be present under pressure, and that is also, I have some free books and so on that you can that I can put a link to in connected to this episode as well. But what it is really about is that you were talking about AI, and we
Mm-hmm.
2025 we all got to know and understand and yeah, get familiar with AI as such. What we know now in 2026 is that will be the breakthrough, the ones that really know how to utilize it, and the ones that will fall back, and the ones that knows how to utilize it and do it with presence. Coming back to that, they are the ones that will take the market shares and be beneficial or take the benefits out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. And also another thing that we can see now also by research is that even though our brain and our cognition has evolved through the generations or evolutions, but we actually see that it's starting to shrink.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is quite scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that that is what anyone would like to see, that their brain is shrinking or that their kids' brain is going to shrink. And just by understanding this, that, okay, just don't, not only to rush on everything, but actually to be able to stay present, even though the pressure is there and the speed. I like and I dislike this metaphor. The speed has never been as fast as today, and it will never be as slow as it is today. I mean, I like it and I dislike it, but I can see what it means. And we are there. And we need to understand what that means to us and what that I'm doing like this because it really has to do with our nervous system and our brain. There are so many things coming into our brain and signals coming in. And if we are not able then to calm ourselves down and really understand, okay, which of those, I mean, we can do so many things, but which of those things should I do now? Because one of the things that usually happens, and this is also with high achievers, if we are because high achievers, they want to be on the edge, and they should be on the edge. But running on all the different paths at the same time, that is not high achieving. That's not.
Yeah.
That's only running as hell.
Yeah.
So that is in this in this webinar, I'm talking about why this is needed and why it's needed now, and what happens if we don't manage to get this skill set. And one of the things that we also see now is we have used to say that the ones that are most valuable for us are the ones with the highest expertise, the ones that have the highest education, the highest, all those things. They have been the one that has got the highest payment and all those, all whatever it is. But the truth is that none of us will have as high IQ as our AI agents have.
Mm.
So we can't compete with them. We can't compete in expertise when it comes to that kind of expertise. But what we can do, which our AI agents so far are not really good at, that is to make clarity out of all the information that we get and inform about it. We have a judgment, possibility to judge, okay, is this really relevant for me or not? That is something that we need to increase our ability to do. And another thing that we never ever should forget, that is about the relationship, the importance of having good relationships.
Yeah. 100%.
And so that is really what this work is about. And then of course we are talking about the clarity chain and doing some exercises there as well, just to get the first spark and feeling what it is.
Brilliant.
And you asked me, is there any possibility to join? Yes, I must say that this is a totally new webinar. I just set it up for a Swedish audience. I had it during this week, but the plan is that I should also have the English version. So of course, whoever we can send that link, a link to that as well, a registration saying that I would like to join. I would like to get dates for coming
Expression
webinars.
of interest, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because by the time this episode is released, then your current webinar will be finished, but it'll be good to have people express interest in what you're offering. So we'll definitely add those links to the show notes and people can join in that way. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Hanna, I wish we had more time, but absolutely a treat talking to you. I love talking to people who are doing things in the space that I'm absolutely passionate about. I love that you've brought your experience to the conversation and told us about all the things that you're doing. I think you're doing really important work and really amazing work. So thank you so much for joining us today. Are you on LinkedIn or any other social media that people can find you?
Yeah. I think that LinkedIn is the easiest way.
Okay.
That is, you find me with my name there. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm also on Instagram, but the easiest way is through LinkedIn.
Excellent. Well, I'll put those details in the show notes too. Thank you so much, Hanna. It's been a real joy being with you today. And to all the listeners, what I talk about today is that if you took out of today, is that if you want to create real impact, it's not by moving faster or taking on more or being that perfect high achiever. If you're that high achiever out there listening, you're not going to create the biggest impact doing that. As Hanna said, I think you're going to make the biggest impact when you can stay fully present when everything else wants you to react around you. And I think that's such an important lesson. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as me. I will see you next time. Take care.